TOC member. So with that, we do have 4 people, so we have the quorum for sure.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah,
Hey,
well
congrats, Mitch.
deserved. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have quorum. Let's see. First agenda, enhancement promotions. Eric, is this your topic?
Well, I don't know if it's my topic.
Well, nobody put their name on it, so I wasn't sure whose topic this is.
Yeah. So the first thing, we have the quarterly reminder at the top, which is the comment up there that says, you know, for work groups to look at the enhancement repo. There's, I don't count and recall in the past there's something like 28 PRs out there that Miriam had done, where she basically created the page for the various features. And so whoever owns the various features can just basically look at the page and say, yes, this is good. And we can get those in. That's just basically to get back to, I think, the starting point that I want to say it was Lynn and Brian were working on this way back when. So that was the idea. There was, I think, just to get the initial templates merged. So if the various work groups who own the various features can look at that, that's just sort of the reminder for that. And then my next 2 bullets I put out there is, I know there's basically the top 2 PRs on that page. So the external authorization, the JWT claim-based ones, are ones that are looking for the TOC approval. So basically there's a checkbox in there that says the TOC approves the promotion. So I think we just have to basically add a note in there. I don't know if this is, you know, if it's really should be an approval so that one TOC member can say, yes, this is enough, or if it's something that we should vote on. I don't know what the actual process for that is, but I do know those 2 are out there. So the easiest thing to look at, if you want to scroll down, like the external authorization one, if you open it up, click on files changed, so we can see the files that are changed in this one. And then scroll down to the second file there. And typically what I do is, I think if you click on the 3 dots on the right-hand side, you can do view file. Yeah, whatever. Just basically, it's easier to view the whole file than it is to try to look at the changes.
Let's see, what's this?
And then this one was beta, so if we scroll down to the beta things. Right, so I think the majority of these are checked, except for the TOC has reviewed the API, and I see they don't have the release notes have been added check yet. But other than that, I believe all of them were checked. Well, yeah, so the bottom one is the one that basically we have to, you know, review and approve the promotion, and then when this goes in, the earlier file will update the features YAML, and then that all gets moved to istio.io for the next release.
So do we typically do this in this meeting, or do we do this offline? Does it require all 4 member TLC, or a majority, or just one?
I know that we've taken a look at these in meetings in the past. And and our charter shows that we operate by consensus. So it's mostly just sort of checking with each other to make sure we're on the same page.
So I guess I'm fine with either, bringing these forward. I don't know how many there are typically. Like I said, there's 2 here. I'm fine with, looking at these in the meeting and saying, we vote on them here, or if we want, if we get 4 TOC members to say, looks good to me in the PR, that's fine with me as well, I think.
Well,
one thing that would be helpful in reviewing this, just in terms of the template, obviously they've followed the template exactly the way that it appears to be designed. But like the links to documentation, design docs, integration tests, it would be great if there were links there that we could click to actually see what they're referring to. But that's kind of a meta comment. I don't think that's necessarily feedback for this particular. Okay, it does look like at least in alpha they did that.
Right, and that's basically what Miriam was trying to do, just so that people understand. That was basically what Miriam was trying to do with those other PRs, to basically fill out the templates with some of that information.
Okay, this is a pretty long design doc for to review in this meeting.
Yeah, I don't think we don't. Yeah, I don't necessarily think we need to review, like the design docs. We don't necessarily need to review all of the test plans and things like that. At least, certainly not in this meeting.
Okay.
And truthfully, right, these things don't need to be determined today and approved today. I mean, they really have until we release, actually probably branch cut 1.16, because as long as these PRs are, merged before we do the branch cut, then
so branch cut 1.16
they would automatically
is. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, the idea here is if it's branch cut, I mean, we can always cherry pick it too. But if it's done before branch cut, then it will automatically be in the 1.16 documentation at this level.
Yeah, I was going to say, then that sets a timeline, because branch cut is next Monday, exactly 1 working week from now. So if you want both of these to be in there, then we got to get them approved this week. Okay, why don't we agree on the process to get, well, the process for getting these approved? We have a week. Do we need a majority of the TOC members, and if so, who to review this and approve it during this week? Do we dedicate 1 person? Let's agree on a procedure, and then we can have a plan going forward.
Yeah, I think majority should be sufficient. And I do think the branching related to this strictly, because we're not making additional code change. I mean, we're not branching the enhancement repo, right? So the enhancement repo is always a master, no?
No, it's branched. It's branched. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Because the features.yaml that is in there will be for that particular branch. So currently the features.yaml that's in the main branch is for 1.16, which is what these changes will be. And after branch cut, that features.yaml becomes the 1.17 features YAML.
And then the features.yaml is used to automatically generate the documentation related to the.
Yes.
Because Okay, because this is not a user-facing repo, right? Most users not going to go to enhancement repo to check out status. They're going to overdoc to check out the status, right? Okay, that makes sense.
Right. The way I think Brian had done this work is there's a features YAML which contains the information, and that's actually scraped by the Istio.io documentation. So as that feature YAML changes for a given release, the Istio.io documentation will change for that release. And then I guess we also we always have a history of the index MD file, but yeah, the features.yaml at least has to be by release so that we're pulling that correctly.
Okay, very good.
But if the answer is the TOC, 4 people take a look at it in the next week, provide either feedback or it looks good to me. I hate to say do some sort of we have to have 4 TOC members approve it. We only have 2 for API, so I don't necessarily think we need to do. But if we have 4 people looking at a comment, then I think that's good to go.
So 4 or 2. I'm going to hear 2 numbers.
We do that sooner rather than later, so that the submitters have time to respond to the comments.
Yep. Yeah, I know I had made remarks in at least one of these already, and I think they were all fixed. I know the one I wanted the index.md file added, and they did that. Because originally they had just updated it in the features YAML.
So we have 2 of these, right? How about we get the TOC member tag team, two TOC members look at each. That'd be fair.
Well, if we still want 4 for each, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
This is a question for TOC members. Do you guys have the bandwidth this week to look at both sets, or is it better to split it up so that half of you look at each one of these?
I'm happy to look at both for my part.
Yeah, same here.
I can as well.
Okay. So then we'll have 4 for each.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, so let's just plan on we'll do that, and then if we don't have 4 people reviewing each one, I will take it on myself to reping the TOC in the Slack channel to look at it. So I'll probably do that, say Thursday around, early afternoon, Thursday late morning, somewhere in there. I'll ping the channel, and if we don't have enough reviewers.
Yeah, I was gonna second Mitch's point. Eric, if you could bring that by one day, say Wednesday, so that if we need additional reviewers, and get that done by the end of the week.
Okay.
Also address comments and so on. So we got to leave some room for that.
Okay. And like I said, I mean, we can certainly cherry pick things later.
But if we can catch the branch cuts, then all better.
Yeah, it's better. Okay, I changed my to-do thing here to Wednesday, so I'll ping Wednesday if we don't have enough reviewers. So hopefully we'll get at least 3 of us done before then, and then worst case we have 1 person to pick up after that. And my guess is the 4th one would probably should hopefully by that time be a rubber stamp after 3 of us have given them comments and they fixed them. Would be the hope.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Should we take a quick look at the JWT claim one? Or let's just do that offline?
I think we can just do that offline.
Okay. So back to the list of topics, I want to go back to this one, the enhancement repo. So the request is for all the workgroup leads to go through this list and review and improve them, right?
I believe that was what Miriam was looking for.
Do we have a?
It's not necessarily indicative that the TOC has to approve at this point, right? Because I think all she was basically doing was trying to fill out the table for the current level that the features.yaml says. So if it says the feature is in, stable, she basically just tried to do the best she could to fill out the table for stable, and maybe below. And then, the idea is that at least that is a starting point. Well, stable, you wouldn't necessarily need a starting point, but let's say alpha. So that would be then a starting point if that feature decided they needed to move to beta. Right. So
do we know like which one of these match to which feature, which workgroup leads, or is this the workgroup leads as a whole body? In other words, do we need to start assigning these to different workgroup leads?
Well, I think a feature is probably related to a work group. And I think we've been reluctant in the past to force the work on those particular work group leads and let them do that as they can. I mean, I haven't looked.
Do we need this cleared up? That's why this is just
a quarterly reminder.
Okay.
I mean,
that was actually my question. Do we need this for 116?
No.
Or just get to it whenever?
That's probably.
I mean, this is effectively a backlog, right? So if ideally we would not leave this open forever. It's been 18 months for a lot of these pull requests. It would be good to close this out. But it is probably, in my opinion, it's going to be more important to actually handle the promotions in time for 116 than to work our way through the backlog. Also more feasible.
Right. Right. And I think part of the thought, and that's why I don't know if there's 28 anymore or not, because I haven't paid much attention to this. But, the thought is, right, is if somebody decides they want to take one of the existing features and move it up, at least there's a PR there with, an index already started for them. And I believe in both of these cases, they didn't need it. I shouldn't say that. They didn't have one available. At least I know one of them they had to create it.
In this list, I see
but give them a starting point, like promotions. I said.
Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, so my comment was basically just that of these outstanding ones, they would conceivably get picked up as those features wanted to be promoted. So actually, this might go back to the old, we don't want promotion to be stale thing. And I don't know what we're doing with that right now either. Right. There was, I know one time, there was the thought, and Brian was around when this was being done as well, if I recall. There was a thought to try to make, features, be promoted, every, I don't know what the time frame was, say year, or I guess I don't know what would happen with them if they didn't get promoted. But the idea was to help, move promotions along. And so I assume we're stale from that point.
Improve visibility also for users on what the status of the features that they're using, right? A lot of times our users are not aware when they're leveraging perhaps an experimental or alpha feature in production, which carries a decent amount of operational risk.
Right. But yeah, I guess I haven't looked at these other ones that Miriam did. I don't know that there were necessarily adding new features to the table at the various stages. I think if this was just to try to flesh out those features in the table today.
So speaking of promotions, I see just at the top of this list, there are at least 2 other beta promotions. This one here, promote distro listed beta. And this guy here, do we need these for 1.16?
Resource status is not ready, as far as I'm aware. I'm double checking right now, but last I checked, it was not. No, it hasn't changed.
It's been stale for a little while. This is last comment from March.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think
And
it's.
I was going to say, I don't think
default.
Distro is ready.
Yeah,
John
that's
must
really
have more feedback on that one.
It's close. Maybe we need more docs or something, but at least from the code, it's all ready to go at this point.
So what's the consensus on distro list? Right now, it's still the PR is still in the draft state. John, is this something that we can wrap up in this week and get it into 1.16, or should we wait for a cherry pick, wait for the next release?
Someone could wrap it up if they want to take it on, but I'm not going to have time to do that.
Would you just say should wrap this up?
Somebody, anyone.
Okay.
So probably no one, if we're being realistic.
Yeah, this PR actually doesn't include its own checklist. It's just a one-line change to features.yaml. So I think that it probably has a ways to go.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't sound like this is ready. All right, then we're back to
It
just
might just be paperwork that needs to be done, but there's a reasonable amount of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that I didn't look closely enough at it, but it did look like there was a link to the table. So maybe we just need to update the table and include it. I didn't pay much attention. A lot of times the link in the table is empty. That's how you know there's not an MD file. But I thought when we clicked on that one, there actually was a file named there. Now, whether that file exists, right? So the checklist right above the alpha remove line features distro list images MD. Now the question is whether that checklist really exists.
Hmm.
A lot of times that checklist is empty, which means there is no file. And typically if it does have something in there, I would expect the file to exist. So just, Mitch's comment that the file doesn't exist might not be totally true. It might actually exist. It might have some data in it. Don't know. But no changes in this PR.
so for changes like this, if we need the rest of the community to chime in and actually finish it, what's the best way to get the word out? Provided we still want this.
Realistically, what tends to work is for each of these, we need one or more champions. For instance, for JWT-based routing, claim routing, and the external authorization, we've had some very active champions from the security working group pushing these forward. And that's been a consistent effort over at least 3 months, I would say. If there's not someone willing to invest the time to move these forward, then it's unlikely that they will move.
So it sounds like I think we're back to when Eric first brought out this topic. We need leads from the work group leads to champion these and get them over the finish line, or at least take a look at this list here and see which ones are ready to be merged. Is that correct?
Yeah, because one of the requirement is a work group has a root in the checklist. By the way, I have to confess, I actually thought the enhancement repo is merged manually, but apparently we have a bot that's merging things. So I just approved the JW2 claim-based routing, and it just merged that PR. So if you guys see any issue, please shout it out. It was done unintentionally without knowing that we actually had a bot for that repo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's new to me.
When you first started talking bot, I was going to say, yeah, we actually have a bot that will update the features YAML in the doc overnight, so that will happen. But yes, yeah, and we don't have, we don't have anything other than, like I said, I think you just verified it. If one TOC member approves it, it goes. So.
Yeah, it used to be like menu merge after people reviewed it. So now it's just whenever you approve, you just say, look good to me instead of approve the PR.
Yep.
Okay, how about this? We have the two immediate promotions this week. So TOC members, please do take a look, and so we can get those in by 1/16. For the rest of these, I will take a look, and I think to meaningfully tackle these, rather than just leaving this list of 28 open and then leave it up to the workgroup leads to go through and take a look at them. I will put this. I'll put this list into some kind of spreadsheet format, and then we can start penciling in which workgroup this belongs to. So at least we know of the 28, like which group should be looking at which ones, and then we can keep track of that way with some kind of status. Like for example, we talked about the resource status that's not ready. Promo distro that's also not quite ready. So these are in various stage of readiness, and we can prioritize the ones that are higher on people's list. So that rather than just asking the workgroup leads to tackle all 28 at the same time, we can prioritize it in some way and start through the rest of this quarter and next quarter, start getting this list done. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And whether you start at stable and work your way down or the other way, I think either one is fine. And then I guess the other comment I would make too is a lot of these would typically come through, I think, the roadmap discussions. So for example, I think Distroless was one of those that was probably on the roadmap for, I want to say 1.15, maybe it was 1.14, I don't remember. So we probably at that point had the, it was on the roadmap. It ended up we didn't have enough, people / time, resources to work on it. So we didn't get it done for that roadmap item. It hasn't showed up again on a roadmap just because people are busy, whether it be ambient or something else, right? So some of these I think, are I want to say at least that one. I don't know about the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Are all the workgroup leads in this meeting? I mean, but by the nature of it, are we all on TLC? Okay, so we'll need some other way to reach out to them. So let me take a crack at this first.
Right. Okay.
And then once I have this into some kind of list, and we can start assigning work groups or worker ownership for each one of the tasks, and we can go from there. Okay, moving inactive maintainers to emeritus status, I believe.
Yeah, so this is something that Eric and I have been working on. We have, as far as we can tell, we've never actually cleaned up our list of maintainers.
Right.
And these individuals retain some degree of merge and approval rights to the repos, which we've recently seen a number of vulnerabilities in open source based on the wrong people having right privileges to repositories. So this is an effort to clean this up. We took anyone who we didn't have a recorded activity for in the last 12 months and tagged them in this issue to let them know that we were considering moving them to emeritus. We've had 2 reach out and ask that they not be moved to emeritus, which technically the way that our rules are defined, commenting on an issue counts as activity. So they now have activity in the last year. This is just sort of wanted to let the other TOC members know so that if there's someone on this list you'd like to see retain their maintainer status. Emeritus maintainers are listed still on eng.istio.io. Basically, we're thankful for their contribution, but they won't have any continued privileges to repositories.
Yeah, so basically, if you look in the community, Istio community in the doc, it basically says, let me find it here. It says if a maintainer becomes inactive in the project for an extended period of time, which we don't call out, in this case, we're saying a year, the individual transmission to being an emeritus maintainer lose their ability to approve code contributions, but they retain their voting rights for up to 1 year. And in that, voting rights is voting rights within the work group, not voting rights as similar to the member voting rights.
Right.
So, and then after 1 year, the emeritus maintainers will go back to becoming normal members, so they lose their voting rights. So really all that they really lose at this point would be the ability to approve PRs.
Yeah, and they can be back as active maintainer whenever they wanted, if I understood correctly. Is that right?
I think as long as they do.
Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mitch.
I was just going to say, I think we have a lag between us. Sorry. I think that if an emeritus maintainer became active again, I wouldn't see any reason not to reinstall them. Once they're no longer an emeritus maintainer, if they became active again, we might want to have a conversation about maintainer promotion, although maintainer promotions are not a big deal. We do them on a pretty regular basis. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, to get it back during that year, it's pretty simple. Make a comment on something, they become active again. Other than, we don't have any automated way to handle this at this point, at least that I know of. So they might have to, they might have to actually ask in a PR to be, or, fill out a PR to become a maintainer. And then, we just put something in the template, maybe that says, yeah, I am emeritus, put a check mark, and that automatically gets approved. Otherwise, if they're not emeritus, then I would assume they would follow the same sort of template that everybody else does to become a maintainer, except for them, most of that stuff should be already satisfied at one point. So I don't think it's hard to become a maintainer again after you have been rolled off the list.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But being that things aren't automated, it might take a little bit of time.
I just want to say this is good timing because we are in the process of getting graduating CNCF. And one of the things that CNCF has complained about Istio project is the number of maintainers. They think we have too much or too many.
Okay, do they have a guideline?
Well, I mean, it varies. Some projects have like 20 maintainers, some projects have 40. I think Istio have something like 80 right now.
I'm sure Kubernetes has more than 80.
There's a lot of different roles in Istio. If they're actually counting 80, I really suspect that they're counting the wrong thing.
Yeah, I need to take a look again. Let's see.
Yeah, maybe they count the member. Now that I'm thinking, yeah. We have 400 members. I'm not sure if we have 20% of them are maintainers. It does seem high. But I think these inactive one could contribute to the 80.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so let's purge them if there's no objection.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at teams dot. Let's see, teams.yaml. There's maintainers, description maintainer of the Istio project. It goes from line 15 all the way to line 81. So not quite 80, about 65-ish.
Yeah, and this is
okay, and if
in
we
the neighborhood of 20.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that. So let's do that because we've already gave them a week to reply.
Yep.
And it's easy to bring back, like you guys said.
Okay, I'll take care of that this afternoon.
Thank you, Mitch.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just trying to quick look at the. I was just trying to quick look at Istio just to see what our numbers were, because I thought 80 was about right. So if I go back over here, click on people, and we look at maintainers. Our maintainers list right now is 86 members. So for people who have authority, I think you want to see what I'm talking about. There's the link that I'm on.
So Eric, how I'm looking at teams.yaml. Is that not the right place to look at maintainers?
Well, teams.yaml, whenever a PR is merged, teams.yaml updates GitHub. But the problem with teams.yaml is sometimes there's maintainers that are in a sub-team, and those will get picked up later. So the problem we have, maybe we should do something in our linter, is to make sure that people are reflected in all the levels. Because I think I had a Slack with somebody the other day about this as well. Is that and maybe it was Craig, the number in the teams.yaml of just straight maintainers is less than what is on this maintainer list.
Mm.
But I think the difference is because sometimes we put maintainers in the groups, so that within the work group maintainers. So if you go scroll down, right, there's docs and networking and stuff like that. And I think you can put somebody down there and not be in the above list, and they'll actually get updated in the repo. So maybe we should do something linting wise to verify that. But yeah, right now, if I look at the maintainer list on that link, it does say 86 members. And I know, actually, maybe it was talking with Mitch, because I know Mitch says in the database it was like 86 or 87 members in the database. So those two numbers matched up.
Yep. Okay, so we'll take this first step. We might have other steps to clean it up later on, but this is a place to start.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if there was some guidance, we could maybe look back and say 6 months instead of a year, for someplace quick to look. If you look at the inactive maintainer list or the active maintainer list, I think. If you go to eng.istio and you look at active maintainers, that's only people that have been active in the last 90 days. So last quarter versus a year. And so that number is much less. So, you could probably pick somewhere in the middle of 90 days and a year, depending on where we wanted to be, if we had to come up with a specific number, if there was some guidance from CNCF on that.
Yeah, CNCF doesn't
or
really
maybe
have much guidance other than I think even their initial reaction of too many maintainers is compared to the other CNCF projects. They don't make it such that if we have 87 maintainers, they're not going to set our project or anything. It's a comment. I don't think it's a hard requirement, but we'll see.
Yeah,
there's lots of
ask them how many Kubernetes has. Yeah, ask them how many Kubernetes has.
I remember it's a high number, but not quite 80. Maybe it's a 60s or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look. Okay, so looks like we're good with that one. Anything else on folks' agenda? All right. If not, then I will end the recording here. Mitch, do you know where we keep recording for this particular meeting?
This has a YouTube playlist as well.
playlists or in the in the same YouTube channel. This one.
That's right.
Let's see. Okay, so that's under Istio. All right. So Craig should have given me the access rights, the right permission to the Istio channel. I'll see about updating these or uploading these. I'll try that on my home connection first. If that end up taking too long, like you did, I'll probably have to go into the office to go do it.
Sounds
Great,
good.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's call it a day.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.